Elegy, 2008, movie synopsis by Zillur Movies Recapped. Elegy is a 2008 American romantic drama movie directed by using Isabel Coixet. Its screenplay is tailored through Nicholas Meyer from the 2001 novel The Dying Animal via Philip Roth. The movie stars Penelope Cruz, Ben Kingsley, and Dennis Hopper, and aspects Patricia Clarkson and Peter Sarsgaard in helping roles. The movie used to be set in New York City, however was once shot in Vancouver. Synopsis: David Kepish, Ben Kingsley, is an getting older though pretty virile cultural critic and professor, in a kingdom of emancipated manhood. Previously married, he has a son who has by no means forgiven him for leaving his mother. His relationships with girls are typically casual, short and love in nature. His Pulitzer Prize-winning friend, George O'Hearn, Dennis Hopper, suggests that he bifurcate his life, have conversations and experience artwork with a wife, and keep the intercourse simply for love. Believing himself to be an impartial and self-actualized individual, he encounters Consuela Castillo, Penelope Cruz, a lovely and assured grad scholar who takes one of his courses. She captures his interest like no different woman, and they fall in love. David is additionally in an informal but carnal 20-year relationship with Caroline, Patricia Clarkson, any other former student. Through voiceover narration and in addition conversations with George, David exhibits his growing want for Consuela, and his insecure suspicion that she can also be seeing other, youthful men. He even follows her to a birthday celebration one night time and she catches him spying on her. When she tells him he ought to have faith her, he assumes she needs to stop their romance. Soon thereafter, he is amazed that she calls him for dinner, the place she asks him, "What am I for you?" She wonders about their achievable future, and he admits that the 30-odd-year age distinction between them scares him. Meanwhile, his relationship with Caroline seems to cease after she finds one of Consuela's tampons in David's bathroom. David explains in voiceover that he and Consuela have been worried for every other year, but, like all roller coaster rides, it had to end. One night time over dinner, Consuela invitations David to her commencement party, pleading with him to meet her parents. He is reluctant, however consents to attend. Solely on the day of the event, David telephones Consuela and claims he is caught in horrific traffic. In reality, he is sitting in his car, anxious about assembling Consuela's family. Heartbroken and annoyed, Consuela calls again and tearfully acknowledges the stop of their relationship. His son Kenny, Peter Sarsgaard, takes place to exhibit up that night and tells David that he is dishonest on his wife. Kenny is very conflicted, due to the fact he does now not favor to wreck up his household like David did, however the father has little sympathy for him. Kenny leaves in disgust. David thereafter sinks into a despair which George tries to assist him through. George tells him that he has virtually come to be nearer to his spouse lately, notwithstanding dishonest on her before. Soon thereafter though, George collapses and, after kissing each his spouse and David, he unexpectedly dies. Caroline comes lower back to go to David, and he subsequently admits that he had an inaccurate affair with Consuela. They share a relaxed second together, thinking if they are at final speaking to every different after 20 years of love. In any other voiceover, David tells us that 2 years went via in which Consuela in no way known as him again, and he tried to get over the dying of George, however he admits to his ongoing pain. Suddenly on New Year's Eve, David receives a voice message from Consuela. She mentions that she desires to inform him something earlier than he finds out from anyone else. He issues that she will inform him she has located some other man, or worse yet, ask for his blessing. Hen he calls her, she turns out to be simply backyard his building, keen to meet. Consuela tells David that she has breast cancers and will want an operation. Grief-stricken, David cries and asks her why she did not inform him sooner. Consuela tells David that he cherished her physique like no one else, and asks him to take pictures of her topless, earlier than the medical doctors ruin her breasts in the surgery. David agrees. David goes to see Kenny, who takes place to be a medical doctor at the sanatorium the place Consuela is having her operation, and asks for him to make an inquiry about her. Kenny suggests that her circumstance is pretty serious. David visits Consuela later when she is improving from her surgery. Consuela says, "I will omit you." David responds, "I am here." Then he climbs into the medical institution mattress and gently kisses her face. Plot: David Kepish is a cultural critic and professor. In a nation of emancipated manhood, his relationships with ladies are commonly casual, short and love in nature. Previously married, he has a son who has in no way forgiven him for leaving his mother. His friend, Pulitzer Prize-winning poet George O'Hearn, suggests that he bifurcate his life, have conversations and revel in artwork with a wife, and keep the intercourse simply for love. David is additionally in an informal 20-year relationship with Caroline, every other former student. He encounters Consuela Castillo, a lovely and assured pupil who attends one of his lectures. She captures his interest like no different woman, and they start a serious relationship. George advises him to go away her earlier than she leaves him. However, David can't convey himself to provide her up. They are a couple for a year and a half, for the duration of which he continues to sleep with Caroline. Neither female is aware of the other's existence. Over dinner, Consuela invitations David to her commencement party. After some hesitation, he has the same opinion to attend. On the day of the event, David telephones Consuela and claims he is caught in sight visitors and will be inevitably delayed. In reality, he is sitting in his car, anxious about assembly Consuela's family. Heartbroken, Consuela hangs up, and they quit their relationship. Shortly afterward, George suffers a stroke at some stage in a poetry convention after David introduces him, and later dies. David realizes too late that he without a doubt cherished Consuela, and ends his relationship with Caroline. He particularly mends his relationship with his son, Kenny, who displays that he is having an affair and not directly asks David for advice. 2 years skip earlier than Consuela and David come into contact again. On New Year's Eve, David arrives domestic to discover a message from Consuela. She mentions that she wishes to inform him something earlier than he finds out from anyone else. At his apartment, Consuela proclaims that she has located a lump in her breast and will want surgery. Grief-stricken, David cries and asks her why she did not inform him sooner. Consuela then asks David to take pics of her breasts, earlier than the medical practitioner, ruin them. David agrees. In the last scene, David visits Consuela at the health center, the place she is recuperating from a mastectomy. Consuela says, "I will leave out you." David responds, "I am here," as he climbs into the clinic mattress and gently kisses her face. In a myth scene, the movie flashes again to David and Consuela on the seaside, the place Consuela instructed David she loves him. The biggest surprise in a man's life is old age. In Manhattan, the middle-aged writer, artwork critic and professor and aspirant piano participant and photographer David Kepish, Ben Kingsley, questions that his age does no longer have an effect on his intercourse pressure and remembers phrases of Betty Davis. Old age is no longer for sissies, and Tolstoy, the largest shock in a man's existence is historical age. Despite of his superb culture, the mental David is a man that has grown ancient, however by no means grown up, and he is unable to ultimate a relationship, which includes with his oncologist son Kenneth Kepish, Peter Sarsgaard. The exceptions are his historical poet pal and assured George O'Hearn, Dennis Hopper, and the impartial businesswoman Carolyn, Patricia Clarkson, with whom he has an affair for greater than 20 years. When he meets the elegant, skilled and tremendous Cuban scholar Consuela Castillo, Penelope Cruz, in his literature class, he feels a notable love appeal for her and seduces her in the give-up of the period. They have a love affair for 1.5 years. However, David is constantly insecure being 30 and something years older than the student. When Consuela forces David to come to her commencement celebration and meet her household and friends, he takes a selection that impacts their relationship forever. The Spanish Isabel Coixet is really one of the most touchy administrators of the cinema industry. My Life Barring Me, and The Secret Life of Words, are amongst the most beautiful, touching and heartbreaking films I have ever seen. Elegy is some other top-notch film of this outstanding director that offers with any other actual theme, the growing older of men, which should be tough for a girl director to apprehend and efficaciously reveal on the screen. However, The romance works by and large due to the fact the lead male position appears to be tailor-made for Sir Ben Kingsley. It ought to be Sean Connery a couple of years ago. I can now not think about any different actor that should personify David Kopesh as portrayed in the story. Further, Penelope Cruz deserved the Oscar for her performance, with a greater practical persona than in Vicky Cristina Barcelona. The Academy wrote proper via incorrect performances. She is enormously exquisite in the function of Consuela Castillo. The usually splendid Patricia Clarkson, the irregular Dennis Hopper and the disappeared Peter Sarsgaard have additionally memorable performances in this high-quality romance. The cinematography and the track rating hold this lovely work of art. My vote is 8. Erotic, touching and beautiful. Everybody is allowed to do a job simply for the money. I be aware of that, I do. However, when it comes to the appearing profession, I irrationally suppose that I assume a little bit extra from our best thespians. I do not recognize why. I simply do. Take, for example, the actor Ben Kingsley. Ben Kingsley from time to time annoys the hell out of me. He is one of the first-class actors in the world, however occasionally plies his exchange in the likes of videos like Thunderbirds, A Sound of Thunder, and The Love Guru. Such a waste. Such a shame. Thank God he from time to time realizes how right he is and signs and symptoms up for a film as chic as Elegy. Elegy is a remarkable movie. Ben Kingsley is supreme in it. He performs David Kopesh, an expat British trainer and writer. Kopesh is selfish. He is a participant and a dedication phobe, who takes and drops fans at the drop of a hat. That is till he meets Penelope Cruz's Consuela Castillo, with whom he starts off evolved a distinctly popular affair and, towards all expectations, and tons to his dismay, falls in love with her. Elegy has some critically good, certain-footed performances. Ben Kingsley is on Oscar-worthwhile form. It is as different, however as appropriate a performance, as his Oscar-nominated turns in Sexy Beast and House of Sand and Fog. Patricia Clarkson, as Kopesh's lengthy standing mistress, defines damage and betrayal. Penelope Cruz absolutely places phrase to the lie of one daft critic who stated that she really can't act in the English language. However, the shock right here is Dennis Hopper. His overall performance as Kopesh's nice pal is mild years away from the eye-rolling villain that he generally portrays to make a crust. Dignity and sensuality. Intoxication. When you make love to a girl, you get revenge for all the matters that defeated you in life. Few American writers have been in a position to study the concern and rage and desperation of growing old as eloquently as Philip Roth, and as with every other of his novels introduced to existence on the display. The Human Stain. Right here Nicholas Meyer has superbly tailored Roth's The Dying Animal, with all the visceral immediacy and poetry of the novel about the terror and compassion of May-December relationships. Isabel Coixnet has managed to information her talented set of actors via this story as although it have been a ballet. The end result is one of the greater lovely love stories ever filmed. David Kopesh, Ben Kingsley, in an overall performance of remarkable electricity and sensitivity, is an aging author, trainer and artwork critic, a man who has now not realized the secret of lasting relationships but who retains his animal intercourse pressure no matter his passing years. He survives time's passing by using a patterned assignation with Carolyn, Patricia Clarkson, an aging profitable journeying enterprise female who drops in for sensual gratification when in town. David's closest buddy is Pulitzer Prize triumphing poet George O'Hearn, Dennis Hopper, who serves as his alter ego and as his confidant in David's tricky life. Into David's schoolroom comes Consuela Castillo, the ravishingly stunning and talented Penelope Cruz, who good points David's center of attention no longer solely for her radiant splendor however additionally for her intelligence. Struggling with his superior years, David is over 30 years older than Consuela. A courtship dance starts off evolved and it is the emergence of this romance that types the story. How Consuela alters David's conduct and his discovery of the want for connection outdoor of the bedroom is associated as a experience via David's mind. The manner in which the transformation modifications each member of the story is what makes this movie so very memorable. Kingsley is fantastic in this probing examination of the getting older man's psyche. Cruz should have acquired her Oscar for this overall performance as an alternative than the movie that honored her. Clarkson continues to be one of our pleasant actresses on the screen. Peter Sarsgaard makes a short however necessary appearance, and David Hopper manages to step out of his predictable previous roles and provide a personality of proper compassion and finesse. The movie is magnificently photographed, Jean-Claude Loriot, and the track rating luckily is nearly definitely committed to the works of Erik Satie. No Ciennes, Beethoven, Diabelli Variations, Vivaldi, cantatas with Philippe Jaroussky, all edited by way of the director Isabelle Coixnet. It all works well. This is one of the finer movies of 2008 and deserves a large target audience of human beings who love first-class filmmaking. Grady Harp